Thanks to YouTube, I can edit that out later. Just warming up. I'd unplugged it to print some homework earlier today, but no, working on. So working on drawing an Autoworks claw today. Had to kind of have it not hanging there, and making a maybe drawing a gold car. The gold car is in, but people want, specifically my nephew at least, want kind of a different look to it. So I did fix a few things, and they're letting the Carpoon Discord know, which I think is in this description. If not, at least another one. And so basically, I fixed not being able to harpoon other cars. That was because I chose the wrong object to create that looks exactly like this O enemy car sedan, but it was O enemy car, and that is apparently not harpoonable. So I'll grab a controller and just show quickly. Turn down the volume a bit, because I'm just using speakers to save my ears as usual. Okay, so we'll get the test gold car wave. I tried adding a bit of glow to them and having it pulse. Like, it's the same heat effect as the hot cars. It's just, I also had a yellow sprite already, so it's even easier. So yeah, you can harpoon them now. And I was thinking the player has these waves that go around him in water. I could copy that over to the hot cars when they're going in. Instead of just looking like they're driving on the lava, kind of making it look like a flat surface. But that is maybe unnecessary work. I'll finish the waves of cars first to make sure it's playable, because I have to do... there's stuff like leaderboards to do now, too, so... Just want to finish this and lock it down. They kind of put pressure on me, but they're not killing me too much when I move. But they're random speeds. I'm thinking maybe they start off slow and you're like, oh no, hot car. Or lava car. And then maybe they like slowly speed up and go straight for you, and if you get touched at all, you die. That would kind of change how they work compared to Carnage Island, though. Long time ago, I had a suggestion to make those ledges a bit deeper too. I could probably just make it look a foot deeper, and it would give more sense of depth to it. And I have the typical mirror flip where it looks like I am looking away from everything, but no, trust me, I'm looking towards it. Maybe I can try to flip that. Exciting playoff game yesterday with the Canucks. Edge of my seat most of the time. I got to see the third period. It's kind of... Maybe I take it for granted as a kid, because I remember they're 2 years in a row, the Canucks. I think they faced Winnipeg and they beat them, then they lost in the second round. And then it's like, well, no, they don't necessarily have to win every year, because at the time there's a team called the Colorado Avalanche that just had Joe Sakic and beat them. My pen managed to make it way behind the monitor. Oh, hello, Oscar. Happy Star Wars Day to you as well. Thank you. May the 4th be with you as well. On Thursday, you finally got Endless Ocean Luminous. Next up on May 23rd, the release of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Remake. Yeah, with Endless Ocean Luminous, I would get that if I had friends playing it. I'm still I've been holding out on Helldivers 2, for instance. But I'll see. I have the marathon tomorrow, and I think a project I should be finishing up during the week. Maybe I'll see after that. It's hard to. It's like you can't have a project and keep up with games all the time. But okay, and also I pre-ordered two games for Nintendo Switch: Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance and Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon HD. Yeah, I definitely heard about Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance lately. That'll be out in June, I believe, and I think that one would be too long for me to tackle. And Luigi's Mansion 2 Dark Moon HD, I did the comparison for that today. I just noticed little animation differences in the cutscenes. It looked a little better than what I was thinking in my mind, but that one, I guess I'll see in the lineup at the time, because it's been 11 years since I beat that game. So I remember some of it, like some of the bosses, but not all of them. So fun fact, when I was playing Endless Ocean Luminous and exploring the ocean, I just discovered a fish that has my name on it, Oscar. Yeah, was it the... I guess I can draw it. I think an Oscar is... There's one that's a cichlid, kind of like a relative of angelfish. And there's another... That's the one I know where it's like... Oh yeah, my drawing tab's not working, but it's kind of like it's like one of these. I forget if it has a. I forget if it just ends like that, and I guess it's kind of an olive green. I'm gonna have to go down and maybe it has a little bit of red at the bottom. That's my my super good Oscar impression, but let's go Wacom. No, it's not connected. I'm going into the wire jungle. Okay, I'm gonna. My cable for the camera is plugged, so I'm gonna move it. Doing it live. That sounds like USB going. Let's see now. Yeah, it's working great. It's one downside. You get a couple things that are not predicted on the schedule, and then the day gets busy. Especially, it's always kind of busy if I don't get to go to the marathon tomorrow. There's always an expo to pick up the bib, the race bib. So then I got to go downtown this morning and pick it up, which I did, and just kind of makes it a busier day. It's easier if I go on the Friday when it's possible. So, new Splatfest. The theme is the end of the world. The question is, the theme for the 16th is in. It asks, what would you do at the world's end? Same old bucket list or save the day? Well, I answered this on Pipeline. I said, same old. because I figured that save the day probably outside my pay grade. Probably it's probably not something I can do anything on. And bucket list, already working on that with things like Carpoon. So same old to see friends and family. It depends on the time though. Like maybe, let's say it's like a asteroid and we know we have like a year or 6 months. Maybe I'm working on the bucket list a bit there. Wow, Photoshop is not happy. I might have to close it and reopen it. Photoshop's like, where are all my resources today? Yeah, let's try it. That's the thing that always affected, I found, drawing on the computer. And Oscar, I'll say, what Splatfest theme will you pick while I'm opening Photoshop? One thing I found, like with Photoshop drawing, is that like the computer's not powerful enough back in the day. There'd be lag, and that would be kind of ruin the drawing. Guess I can remove the test jumps. It's an ominous theme, but fortunately hypothetical, so you can participate worry-free. The event runs from May 17th at 8 p.m. until May 19th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time Zone. The in-game voting begins May 10th. Yeah, it's a deeper theme for Splatoon, though. I'll give it that. It's not like what's your favorite ice cream flavor? Like you have to put. I feel like this one, you have to put a bit more thought into. But thank you for coming by. Come on, Photoshop load. I think for any other hockey fans in the center of the universe, Toronto today, it's obviously Game 7 with the Leafs and Bruins. Now that, I guess I would want Toronto to beat the Bruins because of the Bruins beating the Canucks in the Stanley Cup final. They still have Brad Marchand, so I'll root for Toronto there. I think I was distracted by the hummingbird outside the window. Biggest distraction since the internet. Oscar says, for me, 50-50 between bucket list and save the day. Well, I like your optimism for save the day. So for me, I guess you could say 50-50 between same old and bucket list. Yeah, there's that room cleaned up. So I was hearing, thanks to the Heartbound developer with one of his shorts, is that for streaming you have to kind of do it 3 times a week for 4 hours each to get anywhere. My main goal here is just to finish Carpoon and maybe interact with people doing it, and hopefully maybe do testing live later. But it is something I'll think of, maybe do like one more a week or have them longer. They do help. Scheduling helps. Like Ryan Clark of Race Self Games is saying you should be working on an indie game at least 30 hours a week or it won't happen. That is very hard to do. Like normally, I think normally, admittedly, that'd be like 30 hours every 2 weeks for me. And that's one thing I liked about Steam. It would track the time every 2 weeks, so I would know. Now, at least it's quicker opening it separate out of Steam. And yes, that's something I'll think about. But I had started the TikTok account, and also would like some time to rest at times. So it is more relaxing than just regular work. Wow, let's see. Can we see me drawing here? It kind of updates slowly. I might have to change the monitor. Yeah, we'll change it if I can. Guess I can just add another display in OBS. It's going to be confusing, but sure, let's see let's see how it goes. On my 4x3 Cintiq. I was also thinking I could check out some of the games, like especially car games, at the end of these streams. That would make it longer, but I'll see. I also want to just try, what is it, Twin Shoot Adventures or something? The shoot 'em up is a bit like a Zelda game, the cartoony art style. It's funny. It's easier to flip the camera vertically than horizontally. That's mind-boggling to me. There we go. It looks like I'm looking at the screen now. Which of course looks totally weird to me. Tomorrow for the marathon, I have to wake up maybe around 5:30 to eat breakfast and stuff right away. I already got hard-boiled eggs ready to go. I should make some coffee beforehand so I can have 1 cup of coffee. And the marathon starts at 8:30 at Queen Elizabeth Park, so it's supposed to rain, and it does not look good outside. So that's... I've been pretty lucky over the years not having rain during runs. I think only one time in the marathon I was like missed at first, maybe the last half it rained, and I was waiting outside kind of freezing. Normally anything like the sun run, the rain starts right after I finish the race. One thing I want to do is too that I'm going to probably forget. I want to make this drawing, and then I want to test it. Like I want to get the base bit, and I want to test its size in Game Maker before finishing it, because there's nothing like doing a whole drawing and then having to redo it when I could have easily changed it in the draft form. This is probably going to be slower than any time I'm programming. It's tempting here because I have these as an example, and I was thinking of maybe reusing it. But I'll just try to mimic this style. So I read an interesting quote in a UFO 50 article with Derek Yu, and he said basically a game always feels like it's 6 months away from being done. And that was kind of eye opener to me because that's what it always felt like with Carpoon. And clearly it was not 6 months away all those times. I think maybe only a producer knows about the difference. So that's something I'll think about going forward, but like I would not want to be working on this wave for another 6 months. I think it's more important to release it and see what happens. Okay, so Oscar says, tomorrow is May 5th in some Latin American Spanish countries called Cinco de Mayo, a Mexican holiday that celebrates the victory of the Mexicon and the Battle of Puebla. That's tough just for me to say. well, enjoy Cinco de Mayo. And hello, Brandon. I guess game development never ends by that logic. Yeah. A game is kind of done when you just decide it's done. It's like when you're like, I've worked on it enough. Kind of like a lot of other creative projects, I suppose. Or maybe for some studios, like when they run out of money, or that sort of logic. Brandon, I'm sorry to hear about your internet. I was looking forward to being able to play Carpoon with you. Hopefully you'll get that worked out later. But thank you for dropping by. Brandon did the great Ryan Gosling as a Carpoon car art, which I love, and kind of more realistic eyes. And of course, there's pixel art and all sorts of other art. Definitely for me, I know I have to draw more, so I've been trying to do that. At times, like making sure I go in a sketchbook or do some tutorials in the mornings. I find that's the best way to do it. Drawing though is usually something that I can do while listening to things, or maybe when I'm more tired. At least when finishing something, it's like it doesn't need that part of the brain has to be as awake. Although it's quicker when I'm awake, that's for sure. Most definitely, I'll get good internet again. We'll play Carpoon. Well, thank you. Just thank you for saying hello. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll race you. I'll race you to getting good internet, or me finishing Carpoon. Either way, it'd be nice to play games with you later. It's definitely thinking about things like that as motivation to try network programming on the new one, whatever I do next, if it is a multiplayer game, although I might try a single player game to get something out quicker. So this isn't that 3D. It's like, it's kind of just like I can duplicate it maybe. I guess the top-down view, there'd be some, just think, some stuff up here. Ruler, what's that? I'll just have the cartoony curvy lines. Oh, I hear I got my light shaking on something else. Well, Brandon, I hope you're going to be having a great weekend. You always seem to be going out and doing fun things while also working hard. Oscar, I hope you have also a great weekend too. Why am I drawing the eyes? I don't know. If I wanted to be ambitious, I'd have the towers rotate in when a car is going on them. But I think maybe the cable can bend like that and be okay. Brandon says, "Yeah, I'm just relaxing at home after getting off work. Gonna draw and play some games a bit. Nice. Yeah, drawing can be relaxing." And that's pretty good to be drawing after work. That's tough. This post, if I wanted to cheat, I could probably just copy this post over. So I always set up the Wacom brush buttons, but then I guess they change or I don't get used to them. I end up going back to the keyboard. I think they are quicker. Let's see. I have hand tool, undo as a button. This is erase as a button. Make the brush smaller. This should be that's also make the brush smaller. That makes no sense. It's like if they had one more button beside each other, it would have been better. Oscar says, Crane reminds me of Nintendo Badge Arcade for the Nintendo 3DS. I want to take a look at Nintendo Badge Arcade real quick. Because it's been a while. And I only saw that one in trailers. I didn't have it. Kind of like a UFO crane, really. Oh, yeah. It is like this. I think that's one thing that's about the crane in this. It's like kind of rigid. It doesn't really like wobble. It was pretty hard to kind of time the crane to go down and to get the cars. Well, I guess it doesn't have to look perfect. It can look kind of warped. Here, what was I doing here? I was gonna do like a little, yeah. Only draw round shapes and animals. Never draw machinery. I'm gonna cut it out right now and see how it fits. This is what I'm sure a lot of game creators be like, never show a prototype. And then you get people like, that's what the game looks like. That's I think what they feel. So can't blame them because graphics kind of define the quality at a glance. How big should this be? I'll call it crane arm. So with the UFO games, I'm wondering, has anyone ever had like actually picked something up with the UFO claw and dropped it in? Like I've only ever kind of lifted something up a little bit and like pushed it in on a big pile. I don't think I've ever actually picked something up and had it drop. Like they're always too weak no matter what. So I would think this would probably be 200 pixels. No, wait, that is 72. There we go. Wow, only 188. Let's try it. We'll win a crane game someday. Yeah. Could be a bucket list, a Splatfest goal. So, come on. Saving for web. I think Photoshop doesn't really do that anymore. It has like file export, but okay. Well, I will try to put it into. Yeah, I'll try to put it in Game Maker and see, and then I'll do the draft to the other one. So, Brandon, what game were you gonna play later today? I swear, sometimes finding files is the hardest part. Now I have to look over my monitor to get into this one. Autoworks sprites. Sure, that's a good folder. Go in there. And we'll set it to the bottom center. Although it would be very easy to set it by the top. Probably don't want to create a, like I could draw it from the claw, but I think it's easier just as its own object. Crane arm. Hello, HR Shredder. Hey, Hayden. I have another game dev stream open and want to check YouTube, and now I have two. What's the other game dev stream? Trying to do drawing today. Oh, Jonathan Blow, yeah, I watch his highlights sometimes. He sometimes will just. I always see people clip different segments of him talking about games in general sometimes. It's a lot of interesting things to say. I'm looking forward to the anniversary edition commentary in Braid. He's great at complaining. Yeah, like people don't program good programs these days. Programs like are terrible. Something something. That's what I hear a lot of. But then he is making his own programming language, so good on him. And he admits that probably making an engine for the Witness and then once again making another engine is it's probably a bad move for the company. But I think with Braid Anniversary Edition, they'll be okay. You bought the water filter. Okay, Fortnite. That's probably I should play more Fortnite, especially they have car modes in it. Like one of my friends suggested to, he was working at Epic at the time. Like I can make a mod in Fortnite, and that would probably be popular. When that launched at GDC, and but it's hard to make two games at once. But it'd probably be very. Oh, thank you. It's a drawing glove. It helps slide on the monitor better. I didn't know for years this was a thing, and like whenever it would get hot, the hand would kind of stick to the drawing tablet. So I saw one YouTuber using it, and like, what is that? And it's only like $9, so it's nice. It's not a power glove. I never bought a power glove. It was tempting, but I know they're not good from what I hear. Maybe I should try it one day. No, I'm actually right-handed. I flipped the monitor so it looks like I'm looking at the screen, because I am. If I don't flip the monitor, I'm like looking off into the distance, which is not true. I know, but what water filter did Jonathan Blow recommend? I'm interested. No, a Power Glove stream, just to be checking it out for the first time, like checking out the Power Glove for the first time and seeing how it works. And then I think there's that game with like a floating hand and a ball. I think that might have been the best one for it. Not, I would have to try Punch Out on it, but I think Punch Out is not the best one for it. From what it's been many years though since I've looked into this. It's called a Blue Vua Reverse Osmosis System. Yeah, that does sound pretty good. And now I can look back in the stream and decide if I want to get it later. Thank you. You never actually watched a stream of his before today. Well, I can tell you, yeah, I would just see highlights too. Although I did follow him on Twitch just to see if I could catch it at one point. Like I could react to Jonathan Blow right now on this stream. No, I won't. Yeah, he's a big character, and he has lots of talks. I do watch those from time to time. Like there's this one Dev Gamma. I don't know if it was recently or 3 months ago. 3 months ago. That was a pretty good one. But yeah, I have read like what you kind of think. Like he doesn't necessarily offer solutions. He just kind of points out problems, and then he fixes them on his own. So you bought Brave when it came out and you 100%ed it. Wow, that's... Admittedly, I haven't beaten all of Braid yet, so I do own it. Could probably just wait for the anniversary edition at this point. But I think that was his second game company. I think he made a game company before then, and he did things like he offered to program Splunky, I believe. That was kind of interesting. It was round when you're getting the games the first time, a little deeper. Yeah, yeah. It's like I probably just ended up playing way too much Geometry Wars and Castle Crashers around that time. This is me now reaching around to my keyboard to type. Ooh. Castle Crashers is unbelievably good. Must have played through it 20 times with my buds. Yeah, that's pretty much what I did too with my friends. Uh, yeah, you always have to wonder, would they go back to that? They went back to Alien Hominid, but they just had a update for Alien Hominid Invasion the other day and put it on sale. Another they added like a mini boss in it. But yeah, Castle Crashers is pretty much the I think the best one they did. So I don't think they're ever gonna do it. Yeah, yeah. Like I guess it just depends what they want to do, right? Like maybe they have another idea for a new game. I know. I think when I talked to Dan Paladin, like Dead sells a lot, so maybe yeah, they probably know they can make one as good. They probably at this point because of Dead Cells and Alien Hominid Invasion, they would like make a rogue like Castle Crashers if that makes sense. I can't think of like if you had Streets of Rage and made it a rogue like, would that work? I guess in theory it would. And you say Silk Song is probably taking so long because Hollow Knight was basically perfect. Yeah. Also, it did so well. It just buys them near infinite time. Uh, I think Jonathan Blow was saying in one of his clips that they basically were like almost running out of money again. So that's probably where the anniversary edition helps. Uh, so you say I'm really itching to get developing myself. Yeah, just there was I guess it depends what you want to do. Like so obviously I was talking about this before. WarioWare DIY, it's a super easy way to just make games quickly. It's all sorts of tools. I think Terry Kavanagh, who made VVVVVVV and Super Hexagon, he has like an app Downpour or something that you can make games in. Um, that's one I have to check out. So you make it on your phone, like if you're out commuting or something. You're gonna be prototyping on. Now I'm calling it Godot. I heard people say Godot, but I'm pretty sure it's Godot. Uh, yeah, no, that's a great option. If I was starting again now, I would be making Carpoon and Godot, mostly because it's free. But okay, so this I made too small. It has to be a bit bigger. It has to be like that big. Yeah, it's super free, and I think you can make 3D games in it. X Zodiac is like a Star Fox like, and that's in Godot. I haven't I haven't heard too many commercial releases yet though. I'm looking to make a 3D-ish game, more like a link between worlds levels of 3D. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Because then you don't have to worry about the camera as much, and that would be. I think the movement would kind of be 2D like in a way. I'm sure there's still some 3D math involved, but hopefully, though, if it's like some of the other ones, there's a lot of 3D functions built in, so you don't have to figure it out. Yeah, so that Star Fox inspired game still being developed. I forget if he ported it to Godot or it's like going from Godot like up a numbered version, and it took some time. Yeah, not exactly like that, but overhead with a little 3D styling. Yeah, like if I was making another Carpoon, like it'd be a lot easier to and wanted in 3D to be like a top down like that style, just kind of replicate it. Kind of like StarCraft 1 to StarCraft 2, uh, because it helped me learn a bit of 3D modeling and sort of get my feet wet in 3D. But cartoon, yeah, the cartoon. The joke at times was like if it was Carpoon and Unreal, like Carreal or Carpoon Unity is. I forget what Carpoon Unity, Carpunity. So So Oscar says, I heard a rumor on the internet about the new Nintendo Switch game that has been leaked and is NES of the 1990 Nintendo World Championships is not going to be free but will be paid. Yeah, it's supposed to be $30. And yeah, going through a bunch of new, like kind of having NES World Championships and NES Edition. I wonder if it'll be online competing against other people. That'd be pretty cool. No, but I'm looking forward to that one. But one of the other Carpoon things I want to do is like a Carpoon Playdate game. And Chuhai Labs, they make a junior version of every single one of their games. So it'd be like, do I just call it Carpoon Junior? Or like, I can't call it like Carpoon Date, uh, Carpoon Mini. I don't know, something like that. But I think they have so many fishing games. It might be a little like Spy Hunter. I loved Spy Hunter back in the day. That was played on a ColecoVision. Carpoon. Yeah, shooter. Brandon says, I mean, if you made a Carpoon dating game, then see that's what I was thinking. Like, there's another Crab's Treasure, and they can make a dating version of it. Another Crab's Pleasure, for instance. So, uh, well, Carpoon dating game. Was there dating in the Cars movies? I only saw like some of the first Cars movie. I guess it'd be like that. It's Carpoon now with car romancing. I don't think I, I don't think I've ever played any dating games. Carpoon DX featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series now with new funky mode. Yeah. DX always has a nice ring to it when added to a game. So let's see that's pretty good size. I think I'm gonna have to test it, but I also have to add Z depth to it. Otherwise, it's gonna just go underneath the world. No, not what I want to parent. I'm gonna search for Z depth. Sure, here we go. I don't think it needs to do it every frame, but It'll be okay. Speaking of things that sound like DX, how did you first meet Andre and start working at Game Explain? So that there was a website called Game Boy Dojo, kind of an offshoot of a website called Nintendo Dojo, which still exists. And we were both writers there. I thought it was going to be like a job, but it turned out to be like volunteer work. But we got to go to E3 and we met at E3 and then it turned out he was in Seattle and I'm in Vancouver, so I would drive down to see him and our other friend Skylar sometimes. And so with Game Explain, like he started it years later after working at IGN. It turned out to be volunteer work. Every website ever. No, part of it Nintendo Dojo was it also turned out to be at the end I left when it was going to be everyone had to pay for it too. I'm like, no, that's too much to try to keep it going. And I left, and then like a few days after, they're like, oh no, we have a solution. Nobody has to pay for it anymore. It's like, well, I wish I knew that beforehand. And so yeah, Andre worked at IGN and GameSpot, but then started Game Explain. And I helped him with different graphics and stuff over the years. So, and then I guess with it being bigger, I could do more thumbnails and stuff all the time, or just do indie coverage or whatever when I like to. So for me, it's not like for me, Game Explain is like the equivalent of being a contractor, but it is a good amount of work and keeps me going. No problem. Yeah, there's like many E3 memories and stuff over the years. Yeah, I've been with the channel longer than anyone else except for Andre now. Yeah, it's pretty long. Like I remember that if you look way back, it might not be there now because of the hack. There was like a show. They did like they were trying things like a weekly show a long time ago when there was Skylar there, and at times they Andre tried things like doing a recap of all the news. I guess it's kind of like Pipeline in a way, but like a small video just advertising their other content. I think the kind of news one is neat because they were on camera already before, and then I guess because of time they went away from being on camera because you have to set up and be ready. Uh, no, they did a lot of neat things. Yeah, it helps to have a studio for being on camera. I wouldn't know since I have to set up everything every time. Yeah, that's I I used to have to set up like in my bedroom, and it'd be really hard because normally, like if there's a discussion, I would have to probably do the thumbnail here, and then make sure the other stuff is set up, or like eventually I set it up with these super long like 40-foot cables. But then it's like also messing around with the sound settings and stuff, and like my graphics card would have a hard time setting up 4 different monitors. So it's a lot nicer just having it on one base computer and not having to worry about that. Although it sounds a bit worse in this room, that's the only downside. Okay, I'm gonna see how this claw looks in game. Now, setting up every time is tough. You'd have to have everything basically ready and do all sorts of takes, and then like hope there's no mistake. You have to go back and re-record later. So part of what I find is good, like even the drawing tablet here, I have to like move it and adjust it. That takes away from how easy it is just to dive into drawing. Okay, let's see this. Let's see how the size is when a claw actually goes down and picks up the car. Oh yeah, I forgot those are there. Size looks good. We're kind of getting the weird white outlines around it. Kind of goes on the conveyor belt a bit. I can make the base smaller. Oh, I wish I could have chatted with you guys more, but it's fun hanging out. Yeah, no, it was nice that you can make it to Pipeline. I understand though it's during your lunch, so it's limited time. And sure, everyone had stuff to do anyway. Like, wow, that was quick. That was quicker than I thought. No, hopefully there's another time to chat in the future. Okay, let's see. Oh. Okay, this wave will have regular cars, so easier. Or this gold car. Get away from me, hot cars. It's a bit. I know they're killing me here, but no, I was saying earlier maybe they should be slow at first and then speed up and just go in a straight line. And if you're in that line, you die. Like maybe they leave a trail of heat behind them, kind of like the laser eyes, but which are in the versus mode of the volcano level. Okay, this should be a regular wave, finally. I hope. Okay. Well. Love that everything has those peeping eyes. Yeah, I know. I forgot why I put it on the claw. Like they're on a truck. If I go here, let's see. Like they don't move on that hot dog cart, but on that truck, the eyes move when it slowly opens. Yeah, they kind of follow where a player is. Let's see. The truck looks high. Yeah, I can see that. Because he slowly opens his eyes. That one's eyes are a bit off. I think I probably changed the programming there. It's probably some difference between the Autoworks level and this one. Well, thank you. Now, there'll be another. So Vancouver has something called Full Indie, and there'll be another. It's usually a monthly meetup. There wasn't one last month when I was away in Japan, just because the previous venue closed down. There's going to be another one next Tuesday. So I'll have to decide if I want to see how far Carpoon gets along and bring it to show, or just be playing other people's demos and enjoy the two talks there. Yeah, it's like the two talks actually like they're right in the middle, so it's hard. Like you get to see some games, but then you have to stop. Then you can see some games again, and it's 3 hours. So it'd always be better if they're up front. Then I can understand not everyone gets there right away. I guess it just makes it more like an event. Uh, what's it gonna sell for? Do you know yet? So I was talking to someone about pricing. They said probably don't price your game too low. Like originally, I was thinking $8, but $8 is a weird number, right? So probably I'll just make it $9, like $9.99. And part of it too is that I'm in Canada. All the prices are different. So like in Canada, that's more like $13. You're thinking $8 is perfect? Yeah. So that's what I think about because you can't. $8 USD would be like $10 Canadian. So I could justify it that way. Like the developer I was talking to said, basically don't undervalue your game, but at the same time, so many games go on sale, and basically like have a lot more content to them. Like you can get Doom 2016 for I think $6.66 in the last sale. Like there's a bunch of indie games too that go on sale a lot. Um, I don't think I'd have the wide swings in price with the sale. Like Hades right now, it's old at this point, but it's $11 Canadian. So it's something I think about, and part of it too is that Among Us is $5 with a lot more content. I think everyone has to buy it. Well, Carpoon has remote play, so technically only one person has to buy it. Yeah, I agree. If you don't undervalue, but $8 feels so gettable, especially get a promo from Games Playing, that's something more people could afford and further away from double digits. Yeah, that's a good point. Like at $10, it sounds different. Um, if not 8, you'd bump to 15. Yeah, I think the developer Johan Vinet was making Castaway, and he was. It's like a short hike, and he was asking for pricing. And I think I said 10 for his game, but I'd be willing to pay 15. And I'd be interested to see what Castaway, which is like a small Link's Awakening, turns out to be in the end. I don't even know what a short hike is right now, though. But yeah, you are right. Where part of the thinking of $8 was to get more people playing it, but part of it too is there's Canadian taxes apparent potentially like in Canadian on Steam. They kind of sometimes take a percent on top of the 30%. So that's something I have to figure out. So minus 30% off any number I say, and that's the number after Steam. So because as a developer, I feel you want everyone to give it a try. Yeah, it's like sometimes the first game is like the business card to show. So I'd rather have more people playing Carpoon potentially than no no people playing. But it'll be mostly nice to finish. So I'm not too concerned about it. Probably will just end up $7.99, and maybe from time to time I'd put it on sale, like as low as $5, but not lower than that. But yeah, not $2. You're right. See that? That's exactly right. Where you're saying if it's $2, it's a mental thing where you just assume it's not worth it because it's so cheap. That's what that developer was kind of saying when I said, $5 to $8. So if you make it more, and like I did things like make the key art better, you kind of you think it's a little maybe better than what it is. It's it is hard though. There could be something that's a bit cheaper and does exactly everything you want, but it's like there's something that's more expensive. You possibly want that more expensive thing. You kind of like it gets in your head like, am I missing out on something? $12 has a nice ring. Yeah, I would have to check other comparable games and see what they're at more so. Um, I'll probably do that. I can probably start doing that. 11.99 sounds perfect. Yeah, it's just that'd be an interesting price point. But there are lots of other car games, lots of other indie multiplayer games to kind of compare to. So you don't need to check other games that feature one guy. You get to call the shots. Yeah, I know. Just knowing the market. That's all. Knowing the market. It's different than when a game's been out a while compared to just being released. Well, hey, how's your next video coming? Did you get to do any video editing this weekend? I saw you had the new, I believe, a new kind of tease at the intro. And you say, I don't know, my initial thought was $8, so I think my first gut reaction might have been correct. Yeah, so $8. It's like Harpoon is 3 levels, but it's 3 different modes. So I guess arguably versus and co-op are kind of similar, but it's I feel like my friends and I could play it for 3 hours sometimes. And the time goes by quick, so you have to work on it now. You're procrastinating here. I'm sorry. How impossible would an online implementation be? Well, that I hear with online games, you kind of have to usually do it from the beginning. So that part would be bad, considering how much is already built in Carpoon. Because with our online that worked well, you could charge like $20. Yeah, like I think with online, I'd consider that any sequel, or maybe I could look into it in like an expansion. But definitely at launch, that's something I'm not worried about. I'd have to do like different prototypes and test with online first. Because part of it too, there's different things like if you get into rollback and stuff, that's a different ball game. So something I try not to think about. That's something I can do in a prototype after. See how hard it is. Part of the reason I didn't choose online at first, I said it, is because I wanted to make Carpoon quicker. And here I am years later working on Carpoon. So I don't want to imagine how long it would have been with online too. Maybe now I could know more, but I think with some different engines, online might be built in more, so it might make it easier. So I still have to see the intro. I'm sorry. I saw it was there on my notifications, but it was a very busy day. I have to watch it still. I know I remember I watched the rough for the last one, so I think I'm going to be watching that tomorrow after the marathon when I'm just watching TV all day. That's kind of what I saved it for. Pretty sure tomorrow after the marathon I won't be able to move much. Warning, it's hype. Yeah, no, I know your intros have been pretty good lately. And if it has that disc spinning in your hand, for instance, effects like that. No, I think it'd be pretty neat. Raising the bar. Like I will say, I get the feeling with your videos that you probably work on them the same amount or more than I work on Carpoon. That's a feeling I get. So that's why, I enjoy each one of them when they come out. Like I was doing Carpoon devlogs, and I think this live stream is kind of nice just because I can work on Carpoon at the same time. At devlogs, those would just be a day. So, oh, take between 80 to 100 hours each. Yeah, that's like probably the amount of time I do between major features and Carpoon. But no, good night and good luck on your video and the diaper, I guess. But yeah, well, it shows the effort there. Hello, Switch Stop. Oh, I was. It's been a while. It's going well. How are you doing? I guess it's Thomas. Also Thomas, and like I see you were doing that cooking show, I believe. That looked kind of like a fun experience. Uh, yeah. No, I see your videos still. I see them pop up the thumbnails and stuff. They're pretty. I think you've been doing a good job of those. I wanted to throw it. I wanted to ask you, like I was just talking to HBR Shredder there. If I wanted to throw it out there, if you're interested in being on the Game Explained Pipeline podcast, please feel free to tweet at me and let me know. You're always welcome to join in. It'd be neat to talk to you in person. That's something I was thinking about recently. Oh, awesome. No, but yeah, I'm trying to finish. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, trying to finish Carpoon, and I thought I'd try weekly live streams just to focus and maybe kind of show what I'm working on a little quicker than like doing the work and doing a development stream. And I saw the developer between this one guy who does a game called Heartbound. He did streaming from like 11 or midnight, like at maybe 11 p.m. West Coast time, like me, all the way to like me for 12 hours until the morning. So uh, that is kind of what inspired me to do this. So when I came back from Japan, I started right away because I was jet lagged and I could start in the morning. Yeah, that is a grind. He was suggesting though that you could do 3 of these a week at 4 hours each, and that's fine. So I'm doing one right now. Maybe I'll see what two's like. And the main thing is just working on Carpoon a bit more. I'm just trying to finish the round of like waves of cars in this level, and then after that, I'm going to try to be testing it to make sure it's stable, um, and adding leaderboards. Eventually, fixing the one pose on the little car where the eyes are kind of off because they share the same eyes as the player. That's like one of the things that's bugged me for years, but no, that's just what I'm trying to do here. So I had a lot of great progress recently with a bonus car, people chasing this level. I sketched out. I basically sketched out everything. I can't see my camera immediately. I have to wait for the live stream that I want to do. So, and I wrote it all down. So I have a pretty good plan in place finally. I don't think I'll go too long today because I have to wake up at 5:30 tomorrow for the Vancouver Marathon. But I thought it was important to keep going, keep the streak going. This is just the fourth one. No, I hope it's going great over there for you, and it's oh, that's awesome. Glad to hear. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, this is like a project where I used to have it in the past where I'd always kind of move on to another project, and although like I have different work and stuff to do, I've tried to stick with this. I feel like it's really important just to finish Carpoon. So then I also heard another quote recently that every game developer kind of feels like they're 6 months out from finishing. So I'll say I feel less than 5 months out from finishing now. I'll think of it differently, but that was something I felt like in the past. Mm-hmm. Yeah, final stretch. This is because this is I've so for my friend's expo, I did a tournament of Carpoon, and that was 3 months of me kind of figuring out a rare crash bug from the harpooning. I kind of rebuilt how harpooning worked, and the game didn't crash in a tournament with 64 people. So that was impressive, especially considering I found another crash bug after on a level that wasn't played too much. But that was a real stress test for it. And then after I rebuilt the camera, so when the car stopped, it doesn't just keep shaking. And yeah, now it's been trying to get cars not to drive into lava randomly. And I've managed to do that just by having simple code where they aim for jump pads or follow a path. And yeah, so it's basically all the technical hurdles that I know of are done. Although I do know the camera has to kind of be adjusted for Steam Deck or 4K screens on a couple things. I have a Steam Deck now. I bought like just the 64 gig model when they're clearing them out, and I put in a big SD card. And I'll either get a 4K screen or that. Like I thought that one behind me, I thought that was a 4K screen, but it's 2560 by 1080 or something. It's just or 1440. It's a sort of like that 3K type screen. So my friend tricked me. He said it was HD when I bought it off him used. No, yeah, this is like I haven't done as much art lately, so I'm just trying to finish up a claw art here. I'm testing out the size so it doesn't float, and for the gold bonus car, I'll probably finally get around to drawing another car. Although there is also the monster truck boss from the trailer, but I did say that might be delayed for like an expansion. Like if I add a fourth level after launch, you kind of get that second launch of a game to build interest. curious how you stay motivated for GX stuff when either Nintendo isn't doing much or views are down. So that because I love indie games, it's very easy for me. There's so many indie games right now. It's like it fuels me. Well, the other guys that right now though, there's Paper Mario coming out. Like the Peach Showtime wasn't big. The Endless Ocean Luminous wasn't too big. You could do a live stream of that. Live streams are kind of fun because of that one. Basically now, the time is now for like rampant Switch 2 speculation. There's usually one rumor per week coming out. And the, what was it? Like there's Nintendo World Championships NES edition, just sort of ESRB leaked the other day. There was the Microsoft on Nintendo stuff earlier in the year. Basically, you just have to hold out for Paper Mario, do as much Switch 2 spec, just get stuff, making bids on it. Yeah. I don't think we did a Switch 2 rumor one for about 2 months, and then now there's been a few lately. It's fun to. It's kind of. I understand where you're getting at though. Like it's speculation on nothing unless it's like a Nintendo patent. But no, for any games recently, like there's another Crab's Treasure that I had to play. There's a Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. Yeah, and hey, if you get views, by all means, make him just burnt out on it at the moment. Well, no, that's perfectly fair. I mean, it's fine to take a break. I think if you can just hold out for, 19 days here, that's when Paper Mario comes out. And Paper Mario, that'll be a big one. Do Paper Mario for a bit, and then there'll be who knows, like probably not June, but probably you'll get, like we assume there'll be some sort of Nintendo Direct in the summer, but of course that's assuming they don't have to. No, like at this time you could do retrospectives or stuff on catching up on old Nintendo games maybe you haven't played for a while, or maybe one you want to highlight in the feature. Those also would do well for a long time. Yeah, definitely you should make some Paper Marios, just haven't yet. Yeah, like you can wait till it's out, but there's always looking back on the history of Nintendo 2. That's kind of my thoughts on it. I know it's hard though when stuff is just remasters and stuff at times. Like Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is not too exciting. Hopefully later. Well, I don't know. I think I would hope that Metroid Prime 4 is Switch 2 at this point, so that would be a ways off. No, but sometimes you just need a break or need something to do, something different in life, something fresh. Like sometimes I'm working on Carpoon for a while, I get tired of it, then I have a break, or I have to switch to something else. Videos, like I'm working on thumbnails, maybe I have to do coverage or there's discussions. Like it always changes, and it's hard when you're chasing views. Like sometimes you have to just not worry about views in a way, but views are needed to make the ball keep going. So Oscar says, remember that May 7th Nintendo financial results meeting? Yes. And President will be talking about the future of Nintendo and the Switch successor. I don't know about talking about the successor, but usually they kind of say no comment. But it is a new fiscal year, so probably some in the future. Hopefully maybe talking about the Nintendo Museum, which I saw a job postings starting in June. That it's something that's definitely we'll be looking forward to see how some of the titles did, and if any, what Q&A comes out. No, but I always hear Thomas, back to a lot of creators, like people burn out from time to time. Like Andre, he's been working on like a super video about the Mario movie, and that's been tough for him to put together. So sometimes I guess it can feel like a grind. So hopefully you can find some way to like get refreshed or uh, just try some different angle that might do well. And maybe you have to do one that a video that won't necessarily do as well as some of the other ones, if that makes sense. Definitely gonna switch some stuff after this video I'm doing. Yeah, yeah, and like I mean, recently too there was Pretendo. That was kind of exciting for the Wii U shutting down. Um, so there's always something new. Either something always in the past you can go look at. There's always something that's kind of just slightly off Nintendo you can look at, or Nintendo always has something waiting around the corner for what else to do. Like you could do like if I made Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, this is what it'd be like. Like I see people speculating like it would be like a TikTok, and like you'd be swiping down like if WarioWare swiped down like TikTok going through these games. I mean, it's all sorts of stuff. So Oscar says Donkey Kong Country is also coming alongside Super Nintendo World in Universal Studios Epic Universe in 2025. Yes. I hope I go to Florida one day, but I think I would see myself going to LA potentially soon, or to definitely Osaka is a little harder to get to because normally I'm in the Tokyo area, but it is just a bullet train away. I went to Universal Studios Osaka like I think it was 2 years before Super Nintendo World opened, and I finally got to go to Harry Potter Land and have butterbeer. I think the nice thing with the Florida one though is huge, but by the looks of the map, the Osaka one and the Florida one are a similar size. The LA one is tiny. It's like a little tiny postage stamp compared to the other ones. On Thomas, if you're still listening, I did try Adobe Premiere, by the way. I did some of my devlogs in Adobe Premiere, so I finally moved past Vegas Pro. I think I replied to a tweet about video editing one time and said that. So I finally said, no, this is kind of ridiculous. Learn something else. it The first time I did it, Premiere it made no sense to me. Your Final Cut until you die. Yeah, I do hear good things about Final Cut. But then I learned Adobe After Effects. And from Adobe After Effects, yeah, Apple forgets it exists. So Apple has so many billions of dollars, they can kind of forget about different apps and features. But I did After Effects. That made a lot of sense to me. And taking that knowledge, I could go back to Premiere, and Premiere was a bit better. I had a video card that only had 4 gigs of video memory at the time. Or at one point, like I had one and it died, then I went back to a 4 gig one, and my computer was so slow I didn't understand why. But then I read it's like, oh, you need at least 8 gigs of RAM in your video card. So eventually I got a new one. It's been better. Where my computer, like at times when rendering, it would just be like, okay, I'm going to get maybe not 1 but 2 sandwiches here, and hope just like in the editing window I can move around stuff and do anything with my computer. Yeah. But no, definitely I have to get faster in Premiere still though compared to Vegas Pro. Again there. So I'm watching the two, and I can't edit yet after all. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Aiden. Uh, uh, I'm sure you'll be able to edit soon. You'll have a nice, refreshing break. Uh, Nice, refreshing editing break. Yeah. Wow, I've got two people with great YouTube channels in the chat. How neat. This is my first time drawing while streaming, so of course it's going super slow. I think drawing the gold car after might be a little quicker. Oh, and two Final Cut users. Yeah, yeah. See that's I'm missing out maybe without having a Mac, no Carpoon Mac version, and no Final Cut. Although there is also DaVinci Resolve, and on PC besides After Effects, there's Hit Film Pro, which I think I bought once. I think it'd be an older version at this point. I think doing effects work is kind of the most fun for me. Kind of like treating it as Photoshop with video. There's no FX in Carpoon. There's basically no eyes on the cars. That is a bad stunt race FX joke. So how does Final Cut compare to Premiere, if you know? Or is it just like is Final Cut actually used for movies? Final Cut was used for Game of Thrones. Neat. And Oscar, yeah, the West Ball was talking a few hints about the Link movie, and Link will not be talking in the movie. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if Link's not talking. I don't like the sound of that. I don't know what else. Yeah, it's sometimes weird what they use or if they have custom tools. I guess it doesn't matter. Like whatever gets the job done. I've only used Premiere a bit, but it's way more in depth. Final Cut doesn't really have many new features, uh, but it's way more user friendly and flat out quicker for the type of videos I make. Oh well, now that sounds like Vegas Pro being quick to use at times, but yeah, sometimes like a tool can be overkill. So, oh great, I managed to not scale it down from drawing size to game size. Yeah, I'll just do this. This is Giant Land in Carpoon. This one's not going to be... Oh, no, this one is the right size. Great. So I know I've... One thing that has been nice about this part in Carpoon is that many of the things I've already done in the past, like the old car had sparkles, it had the glow from the hot car could be used, so I haven't had to do as much new stuff. I can just kind of reuse things instead of having to test it all over again. See, I got... Let's see... Oh. Yeah, I got your follow-up, Thomas, so that's good. I've had it before where my DMs do not notify me. And it's like I find out weeks later and it's like, oh, that person wanted to talk to me. That's too bad. Oh, wait, Thomas, are you a Boston Bruins fan? Twitter's so bad, yeah. Well, I've had it the same with Facebook Messenger. It's just like, I thought I could get messages from family, and then it's like 3 months later, oh, my uncle was wondering how I was doing. So Thomas, you see, I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan. So I'm torn on who to like for this series, because Boston, of course, beat the Canucks in the Stanley Cup final, and have been good. And your old roommate loved the Bruins. Well, couldn't he be happy when they beat Vancouver then? Jeez, you know. But, and Toronto, it's like they've just done so bad for so long, even though they're kind of like the center of the universe in Canada. I'm like, should I be cheering for Toronto or the Bruins here? It's hard for me. Toronto just scored, but I don't. Okay, so now I know what that means. I mean, they got Austin Matthews back, and Nylander had a good game. I'm sorry, based off how good Boston did last year, to be knocked out by Florida, which I believe was in the first round. Like yesterday, I was watching an Canucks game. That was 0-0 until 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the game, and the previous games are like 12 shots. Hockey is really picking up in popularity in the States. Okay, now, you are in like a hockey mecca state right now with how good Tampa and Florida are. I guess Tampa is kind of declining a bit, and Florida, which I don't even know what city they're in, they are... I think they were in the Stanley Cup final last year because they got Keith Tkachuk. So that might be part of it, but no, that's good to hear that it's picking up, because I mean, I kind of assume outside of like Columbus and that's funny. There's only fans picked non-Florida teams years ago. They were Blackhawks and Sharks fans, because the Sharks were doing super good when they had Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, and Joe Pavelski. Pavelski is now on Dallas Stars, and Blackhawks, you know, they won 3 Stanley Cups. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that happens. I'm sorry, I gave away your address, I guess, by saying Florida. I don't know if that's common knowledge. A Bruins goal. See, in Canada, stuff like Edmonton and Calgary, they're at least 12 hours away by driving. Those are the next closest main cities here and from Vancouver. Whoa, driving from Boston to Florida, that's a huge drive. I've basically only gone to the Canadian Rocky Mountains driving in one day. my brother and dad, when my brother moved to Toronto, they drove there from the West Coast in 3.5 days, which sounded brutal. I also drove back. I drove back from Disneyland to here in one day too, but switching drivers. Oh, that might be a little tall, but I think it's fine. Okay, everyone's gotten to Florida here. I'll tell you my one bucket list Florida goal, like, my bucket list Florida goal, like more so than seeing like Disney World or whatever, is as a kid I used to do like different marine mammal projects, and I always heard about manatees in Florida, so I thought it'd be neat to see manatees one day. I've seen them in aquariums, but they of course get run over by boats all the time. Yeah, they're super relaxing animal. That's funny how that shrunk. Whoa. That? I think that has something to do with my analog stick. I changed it so the speed was analog, and it kind of slows down sometimes. How do you and Switch stop know each other? A games playing connection? I think so. I think Thomas might have messaged me at some point, or because of Game Explain. I know most people because of Game Explain. I guess I'm very lucky in that aspect. Thanks to Game Explain and Twitter. And Thomas being nice enough to follow my tiny YouTube channel here. Yeah, I'm not even sure how we instantly connected, but watching Game Explain since the Mario Kart 8 analysis days. Yeah, it must have just been following each other on Twitter from Game Explain, is my guess. Like, it's weird today doing like a upload for Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and like looking back and seeing Andre had done the original review for it 11 years ago. We're like coming to the... It's like it's so old now, there's remasters of games that have been done, but the best for you is the best place for Zelda Wii U coverage. Yeah, I remember when Andre was doing his 2-hour analysis. The news cycle is too long to do that nowadays, and everyone does analysis videos, but that that just sounded brutal to do. that analysis was originally going to be in two parts, but I think they figured that it was going to be in there's going to be news soon, so they better get it done in one part. Oscar for you is Breath of the Wild. Yeah. And games play as a source of hope and positivity when Nintendo was at an all-time low. Yeah, that's like Wii U. Nobody else covered it during the Wii U, or very few people. So, I mean, it worked out. Your heart broke when you realized the world's different. Yeah. So right now, though, we're like the highest point of Nintendo, and it's gonna be very hard to keep the same momentum. I think with the new Switch, but or any new system, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Nintendo will always have Nintendo games. I mean, even in eras when the games haven't been so great, they're still pretty good. So I know at least personally, I can enjoy them. I'm sure. I'm sure the wave of momentum will be fine. It should be easier now? Like, well, I think that it's easier in that they have more time to build up. You'll get initial hype, but then it's like, can they convince after that initial wave to keep people buying it? I'm sure they've learned every single lesson from going from Wii to Wii U, and will make sure like how they went from Wii U to Switch, they won't repeat them. So there's there's always a possibility to make one weird decision and turn people off. Yeah, for Nintendo. Yeah, for Nintendo. I mean, for Nintendo, not for GameStop. It would be easier if Nintendo wasn't doing it as well. in a way. Every console manufacturer eventually gets like high and mighty, and they come and go, or they get different staff. Nothing, nothing lasts forever. Everything changes always. It's always some new thing to learn. Like TikTok when it came in, and now how it's going out. Oh yeah, Oscar, that was a sad moment when he passed away. Yeah, 10. That is kind of nuts. 10 years. Oh, I just got news that I'm going to get the French translation of Carpoon starting tomorrow. Uh, that's one thing I want to try at Steam pages have different languages to help with sales. So probably get French and Japanese. Those are two that I know. Maybe I think I should figure out a way to get Chinese done too. No, but 10 years. So I think no air horn noise for 10 years. No, unless that's the air horn noise for the translations. Uh, no, I definitely have to add more sound effects to Pipeline. That was a very inspiring air horn noise. Just so bad just imagining it's been 10 years since Iwata passed away. Air horn, no. Yeah, for the translation, I thought so. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Thomas. Yeah, no, I think you just being here and sending messages over the years that was nice enough, nice motivation for me. So thank you. Yeah, still, yeah. I think I remember you reading mentioning that in Iwata a bit. Like, what do you do like a retrospective and all those games? When people have done that, it's hard to go deeper. You'd have to just make sure it's a unique angle or just you with your kind of looking back on all the games, maybe that's different enough. But yeah, the book was quite good for him. Okay. I just put in this and I may get started on the gold car art. Yeah, made a mini doc for a high school class they were too proud of, but it's hard to make anything that doesn't feel like retreading on him. Yes. And Hayden says it's partially about how it affected my own life, perspective of the industry. Oh, so I have to watch Gaming Historian still. That's one I haven't seen. I think one thing you'll find when making stuff is that it's hard to be watching everything else too at the same time sometimes. But it is good to see what different people are doing from time to time. But sometimes, like, I don't want to watch other channels, so I don't, like, inadvertently, subconsciously, or whatever, like, take ideas. That's something I think about too at times. Make sure I have my own ideas first. Meanwhile, I am making a game about googly eyes on cars. But I did try to make the gameplay different. Can't plagiarize if you didn't watch. Exactly. It can be a coincidence. The funniest one for that was when there was the making the case, and then it turned out like we did an animated version, and then it turned out the completionist also had basically a Phoenix Wright making the case style video, and like nobody nobody knew. Oh, where I see it's the node has gone over here. I realized too I've just been chatting and not showing my drawing screen, which because my thing was covered. So can well, thank you, Thomas. Good night. Yeah, let's put off the rest of the Bruins game. I was on the edge of my seat in the Canucks game yesterday, so I know the feeling. You missed that, Tom. My bad. What about plagiarism? No, we were joking about like sometimes I was saying it's good to watch other channels and like see, uh, kind of see what other people are doing, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to watch other things and inadvertently like sometimes it can be easy just to want to copy them. Like I'm saying copy, but like do the same thing, or like in your head you can get an idea and you forget that you watched it, but you'll have the idea subconsciously and then do it later. Because every idea comes from somewhere, and so that I was basically saying sometimes like it gets hard, or it's like it's I'd rather make something without doing it. But then I was saying I plagiarize, or like very inspired by Stunt Race FX for the eyes on the Carpoon cars to add personality. But with Carpoon, I tried to make totally different gameplay I never really saw anywhere else. So, like for Carpoon, it probably would have been way easier if I just made a game that already existed. That might have been a better exercise. But I was like, no, I'll try this idea that doesn't really exist elsewhere. Although there's many grappling hook games now. The No Clip guys, they added a grappling hook to their Stunt Derby game even as a mod. And it's like, darn it, that's just Carpoon in their game. But no, it looks pretty cool, that game. You can have up to 100 people playing it at once. And you probably will not see a video with me filming a CRT anytime soon. But I don't think I can match that quality. Also, I don't have a CRT yet, as you know. So it's like next time I have a video with a CRT, it's like, wait a minute. I think part of it too is sometimes when you watch a video and it's so good, it's like you get the mental. Sometimes get things like, wow, that's so good. I can never match that, and I don't want to try as much. Uh, so there have been a few sus moments for me regarding idea theft, but nothing serious or harmful. That's good. I mean, ideas are everywhere. There's always different spins and ideas. If someone, I think there has been a game that came out that had like, it was like an Akira bike with grappling. That was like the closest thing I saw to Carpoon. Maybe that was like a year and a half, 2 years ago, but if someone had something super similar, maybe I'd be a bit down, for instance, but I feel that it'd be different. Yeah, you don't own the idea of filming a mini TV, exactly. But there can be different things to your style and stuff. I mean, no one's gonna be the exact same as you. Everyone has their own creative spin on things. So this is something when I'm driving, I feel like the car's a bit sluggish. So that's something I have to look into. And it's usually just in the player select menu. Normally in the other levels it goes away. Once again, I have a drawing screen on. I would need a stream deck, I guess, to toggle that quickly. So let's see the size. Yeah, I think that's a little tall in the middle, but I think it's good. And that one shrunk again, unfortunately. Oh, thank you, Oscar. Good night. Yeah, it's probably getting late over there, but I hope you have a great day tomorrow on Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, the scale changed, but it... Whoa! Okay, I think I know what's going on now. Here we go. That should fix it. Okay, cool. I think I was just scaling, but it's like when you don't hold shift and you scale in Photoshop and kind of warp the dimensions. The fourth level would be so much easier if I just have it as a sketchy world. But no, the idea if I ever make a fourth level is to have something like Future Funland or Tron, Future Funland from Diddy Kong Racing. Okay. So this, it's almost like I would need that behind the claw and like pointing out a bit like a... So that's too bad. I'm on the conveyor belt here. I could just have a little stick on the ground, or I can make it diagonal. I want to hit print screen. That little base is annoying. Yeah, this is something I do in the past where I kind of put in the I do all the good art first, but then I find oh no, it doesn't work. So basically, I just want to probably do this. That'd be kind of weird around the edge. It's probably too big. Maybe it could be skinnier. Oh no, it's starting raining. That's not going to be good for the run tomorrow. So how do you feel about Tears of the Kingdom? I feel that I love the gameplay of sort of being able to merge weapons all the time, and then it was fun for a while building different things. But now I feel that like if I was a kid, I would have loved it for just endlessly exploring the game and just playing in it. As an old adult, I feel like it doesn't respect my time with stuff like the depths. So I only played. I played about. You're a massive TK hater. Yeah. So, like, I played for like 70 hours, and it's like I'm done because I played a bunch of Breath of the Wild beforehand, and the story was not good. So, oh, sorry, police or ambulance driving by. You have a 12K script, hating the works. Yeah, 12,000 word. Yeah, I could see that because like the story didn't hook me to keep going. I feel like they could have figured out better ways to put that together, and I just like trim the fat kind of thing. Like trim it down more. Make the experience like it was too long. So trim down the experience, make it a more cohesive whole that's better overall. Just like Nintendo just went nuts forever creating these huge. Brandon says TFTK had a weak story that was derivative and repetitive. Yeah, it's hater stream for the 1 year anniversary. That might be possible. People don't usually like. I guess it gets lots of views if you hate stuff, but I think I'd have to go back and fully, like I'd have to go use up my time and fully beat the game to truly hate it. But it's just, I don't know, maybe it makes me appreciate Breath of the Wild that much more. But like so many neat gameplay ideas and the physics are super impressive. Andre didn't like it. Yeah, same. Andre and I are pretty similar at times when it comes to games, so it's like good ideas, but just the execution, maybe part of it. It's like so many separate ideas. You're finishing a game at the end of a pandemic, and people maybe are working from home and stuff. Maybe that caused part of it. Don't get me wrong, but I do like the game, but it wasn't as memorable like Breath of the Wild. Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, discussion on it died so quick. People talk about Breath of the Wild. Yeah, like part of what they wanted to do with people being to do everything was to have it on social media, like they did for a while, with sharing different creations. I haven't seen as many recently. It definitely caught fire for a while though, but I don't even think probably Breath of the Wild will beat it in sales. For Switch 2 at this point, for instance, do you go like I think you more likely go Breath of the Wild at a higher resolution or frame rate or whatever, more so than Tears of the Kingdom at this point. If you were gonna do that. Now, of course, if Tears of the Kingdom let you build stuff and play with friends, well, that would be amazing. But I'm so ready to come for what comes after this art style. Yes, it's time for another art style. I don't care if it's cartoony or whatnot. Like, do another Wind Waker. I don't know. Just make something like maybe it's Kid Link again. That would be neat. You know, they're always prototyping stuff, so they're always working on the next Zelda. I'm sure they'll take all their lessons from this one and not have a pandemic, hopefully, knock on wood, and and do something like the fact that so much of the physics work in Tears of the Kingdom is incredible, but and they kind of fixed broken weapons. They did something neat there. I guess, they're kind of being pushed by, I don't know if they're like pushing themselves or they're inspired by Elden Ring in some ways, but it doesn't have to be huge. I hope they learn that. And yeah, that's basically it. Those are my 2 cents. No, but I look forward to making that Tears of the Kingdom video. That should be kind of neat. You would argue weapon durability systems made worse in Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, I guess you're not. I would kind of hold on to one good weapon in an area instead of just constantly building new ones. Having to drop things on the ground and manually fuse them to get the durability points you used to have automatically kind of sucks. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it just adds steps to the process. No, it's no problem to be negative. It's sometimes I'll say one thing I was thinking of today. So I'll go over time's amazing. Yes, it is. No, playing bad games or games that have flaws is good in terms of realizing what makes good games great at times. So, especially when it comes to game design, if you play just only good games, it's not as helpful as playing bad games, kind of realizing what works or not. And sometimes a game can have a very small thing, like, was it like running out of inventory space in Breath of the Wild, for instance? It can be super irritating. And it's like, how is this never seen? Or like the Frank West zombie game, Dead Rising, like that had a guy Otis who would bug you constantly about tasks. And that ruined the game for me. Just like one little thing could do it. So have you played Dark Souls yet, Tom? No, I've played Demon Souls. I have to get through Elden Ring. So I'm thinking right now my plan is to probably play through another Crab's Treasure, and from there, like I was thinking, something like Elden Ring. But if you would say Dark Souls is a better starting point than Elden Ring, I'm totally willing to go to Dark Souls first. Dark Souls is the ultimate game of all time, according to the Golden Joystick. Yeah, well, basically, like I hear, it's basically like it's basically like what if they had like brought the original Zelda game into a new game? That's what partially so good about it. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's pretty good endorsement if I hear it. And you agree with them. And Super Mario Bros. 3, yes. Super Mario Bros. 3, that is my. I don't know if I'd go back to it now, but for the longest time, that was like my favorite game of all time. I might have to revisit that list at some time. I'll play with it on Switch. You can play Dark Souls together on Switch. Like I know Elden Ring, I believe, had co-op recently. I was thinking it was sort of like a PC thing, but I do remember it on Switch. If that's okay, well, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. I'll either just pick it up or keep an eye on a sale. I think this base looks kind of weak. Kind of looks like a little bit like cardboard holding it up. Had the multiplayer on the 360. Oh, no, yeah, no, that'd be fun. You can carry carry me through it. No, I was playing Mina the Hollower, and it was like there was one weapon where you have to wind up, and they were saying like, no, you're new to Dark Souls, don't try that weapon because you have to be really good to use it. Like it had a super long wind up, had dealt a ton of damage, so I ended up using daggers. So I could also play Elden Ring with you if you have an Xbox. I don't have Xbox. I only have Switch and PC and many VR things and a Playdate. Like I had my last non-Nintendo console, I guess I have is PlayStation 4. Because so much is on Steam right now. Elden Ring will be a launch title for Switch 2, so you can just wait until then. Like the no, I do have Elden Ring. I did buy it on sale one time on Steam, but no, Dark Souls co-op sounds like a lot of fun to me. Okay. Oh, what if I could rotate that? It might look bad. Like I could have just copied this. Nope, that's not that. Yeah, I could have done that. And then I could draw it. I'll see. I could send you a spare copy to borrow. Hmm. Hmm. For Dark Souls? Is that like a Steam trading thing? Or like an actual physical copy you're talking about? Yeah, for Dark Souls. I have a cart and a digital. Wow. Well, I think Dark Souls can't be allowed on Steam right now or Switch. Um, I'll see. The problem is there's like a huge. There's usually a pretty big jump in shipping across the border from the U.S. and Canada. That's the problem. Um, well, not a problem. It's just an additional cost. So maybe easier if I just pick it up on Switch and it'll be fine. I have eyed those some of the games you were selling at times, so I will admit the Switch version is the best way currently if you want to play the original experience. Yeah, I guess it might be best to experience the original. The remaster kills so many great effects and light effects. Oh, That's too bad. I'm gonna be back in just a second. I'm gonna get more water. I ran out. Well, the Switch is technically the remaster. It retains all the graphics from the original game. Well, that's good. So I was thinking for the gold car, I started to think what type of car should it be? Like, could it be like a gold Bentley or like a Rolls Royce? Um, maybe I don't. I already have an SUV, larger car, or it could be like a fast race car but smaller. Honda Element. I Let me check Honda Element. I think I know what it's like. I think it's like a little van. That would be a different looking car. You drive a Honda Fit. Oh, that sounds like a very small hatchback. No, it looks spacious. I think. Yeah, it's probably fairly roomy inside. I drive. What do I drive? I. My dad. He always said he's a mechanic, so he said don't care about cars. So I forget. It's a Chrysler, I think. I forget what model it is. It's like a super. No, it's a Malibu. I drive a Malibu. I have terrible taste in cars. So let's be. Yeah. So in Richmond here, there's all sorts of fancy cars, and like when Teslas came out, there's all sorts of Teslas all the time. But probably something that a hatchback isn't a bad idea to look different. Like a gold hatchback scooting around might be fun, but it doesn't have opulence. Oh, goodbye. It doesn't have like the same richness factor. Okay, I have to check one. I want to see what happened. Oh, wow. Okay, I had to see what happened in the Boston Toronto game. I allowed myself that one thing. That is interesting ending. Wonder if they'll blow up the team. Oh, could I? So I wanted to have the claw out in front. Could I? Could I do? Could I maybe do this? Would that be? That might be difficult. That might be the way to do it. Let's see. Where's... I want to bring up an old example car. I think I had hot rod examples at one point. I don't... That looks pretty awesome. I don't know if a gold car would look like that, though. It's more like a boss car. Let's see here. So timeline. That's all the standard frames of the car, but this is actually, this has to be white for it to be colored in Game Maker. I think I'll it's top of that conveyor belt. Let me see what it looks like in the top. It's taking way too long for a little belt. Ah, welcome back, Hayden. I was thinking about some different cars I had in the past, but these are more like a boss type car. They're like old muscle cars or hot rods. My, I think my dad, he's going on about always getting a Corvette in his old age. Let me see what an old Corvette might look like. New Corvettes are pretty fancy. Like I think a Corvette itself isn't super. Oh, maybe that. So this has potential. Let's take a look at this one. Let me turn on the drawing screen again. So something like that is what I kind of envisioned as a fast, speedy car going around. So yeah. So the one with the mid mountain engine is sweet. Yeah, they're kind of like Mad Max. I think I'll save like a one of these for kind of like a classic type car, like not the gold car. It's tempting though. Like it has that huge style. I don't know. I mean, this one up top has potential because it's got a roof on it. And it does kind of have a small trunk, like what I was thinking. A Corvette, though, Corvette would be like this. It'd be a bit smaller. Part of the gold car is it might be heavier to drag around. So if it was that other muscle car, that'd be big. Oh, retro comparisons, hello. You can do an Aston Martin since it's cool looking and it has a link to Goldfinger. Oh, you're always on the ball with those. Let me see Aston Martin. James Bond. It was in the newer one, so I'll have to search Goldfinger too. That is also a pretty classy car. No, it's fine to miss first 2 hours. I'm just thank you for dropping by. I don't expect everyone to watch everything. Everyone has lives. I'm just here to make sure I work on Carpoon and like it's been fun talking to people and going about it. Hayden. No, Aston Martin, but it's silver. No, there's silver. That's the thing. I know it's connected to Goldfinger, but it does have that similar look. So yeah, Corvette, a muscle car, and then it'd be done. I wouldn't have to worry about another muscle car. It could have like a dual use. Is that a Playmobil driver? Yes, it is. It's the classiest Aston Martin ever. I thought it was fitting to go with Carpoon. Let's see if we can envision it now, what it'd be like. There we go. Carpoon. Must have been Silverfinger's car. That's why he was Goldfinger. He just wanted more. Now there's some good options there. So basically we have Aston Martin, Corvette, or like some sort of muscle car. Yeah, it is a fancy looking car. It's like, well, let me see a Bentley or Rolls Royce. So Bentley, it's kind of like you see those cars with a kind of a what looks like to be like a massive engine underneath. And I don't even know. I've seen a Rolls Royce. I saw one at the airport parked, and the guy, one airport attendant, was getting mad at him because he's like basically being a jerk parking there. And he's like, no, I thought I could just park here. I'm rich with my Rolls Royce. That's a Rolls Royce Spectre, the electric one. And I guess there's this Rolls-Royce Phantom. It's a very boxy car. Doesn't look quite as much as the Bentley, although I think it is more. And I'll bring the classic Rolls-Royce, which is what you see in like Indiana Jones. Rolls-Royce are like 3 tons. Yeah, you wish you were rich and could be rude to airline staff. Yeah, why not? This is like the classic style, like in the in Indiana Jones 3. So I think that kind of looks like a station wagon to me. I don't think that would be fitting. Rolls-Royce Phantom kind of looks the part. No, yeah, it's don't like being rude and very. Well, I don't think anyone really wants to be rude, but sometimes it's always important to remember manners and stuff. Well, like I would get if I get a fancy car ever. I know just the very first second I'm gonna like get in some sort of car accident or somebody's gonna hit me. That's what would happen. So that's why I'll never get a fancy car. No, I think these part of it's that they're not shiny in this photo. The Aston Martin definitely looks like it could be silver. Looks speedy. This looks like it'd be fast, but more. It would be heavier to grab. This one heavier to grab. This one and this one are kind of like matching what I think the gold car, the initial version, but Aston Martin definitely looks more valuable than the Corvette. So that's a great suggestion, retro comparisons. So I'll think about that for a bit. I might shift to coding, but I can see quick what it might look like to sketch out these cars. I think it'll be a bit more entertaining than drawing a pole, which is what I've been doing. It's like with cars, it's almost I wouldn't really need a car if there wasn't hockey and driving to my family's cabin. Like if it wasn't for those two things, I probably wouldn't actually need a car. Yeah, you'd live without a car if you could. I mean, it's easier. It's less stressful being able just to commute everywhere, really. On a train, bus is a little bit more stressful. But of course, I'm not commuting every day during rush hour, so maybe if I was, I would think differently. But whenever I drive during rush hour, not that fun. You've driven enough for 2 lifetimes. Yeah. Yeah. I take it you had a long commute. I'll open up an example quick of another one I had. This is the monster truck. I actually finished a fair amount of that one. That was more, I think I was going to draw one wheel separately and add it. But then I also thought I might have to draw eyes again. Oh, thank you, Retro Comparisons. Yeah, so this was going to be a boss, and basically it's going to be one of those bosses where probably it would drive in a straight line at you, and you'd have to dodge it. And once it hit a wall or something, then you could harpoon its wheels, and it would kind of deflate. But then I was thinking, like, do you have to deflate it 4 times, or but probably only once? Then you have to drag it in and get crushed. Maybe you have to crush it 3 times or something. That was the idea for it. I did also think at one point like a iron knuckle type setup where there'd be armor on cars and you have to rip it off. That was done in that game, kind of similar to Carpoon in the end. So it is a good idea, but rip the doors, the bumpers, and finally the engine off. Yeah. And that gets a little harder in collision detection, but that is another potential option. Yeah, I should have finished this. It looks... I think it would work. If only this truck could be gold. So I'm basically... I'll open up an old example of a car, and we'll see if I can convert it to a gold car. So feel free to... We're trying to decide now between Aston Martin, I think, and the old muscle car. This is a big file. It's taking a while to load. So retro comparisons. So what have you been playing lately? I see you've been putting out tons of comparisons still, like a very quick pace. But just wondering what you've been playing lately. Oh, this is before I centered it. This is interesting. I drew it in a circle to kind of guess what it would look like. Okay. Oh, thank you. And yeah, I thought it'd be neat to share the kind of the process of what it's like, because I know one thing, like definitely growing up, we didn't hear the process of games being made at all. So it is really neat these days to be able to see it. And retro comparisons. Honestly, I haven't played anything for fun in a long time. Just been playing a lot of NES and Sega Master System games for upcoming videos. Yeah, well, hopefully I have a little bit of fun while doing that. Okay, this one has team stripes because on one level there used to be teams. So part of the problem I had with Carpoon is like some things I scaled down twice and it became very hard to match the size. But I think this one I'm going to save over and it'll be the gold car. So the Rolls Royce would be definitely the easiest to draw. Let's see here. You know, I think we've been wanting an old cars for a while on Carpoon. I'm gonna try the. I'll try the old hot rod. I think that'll look nice gold. Aston Martin would definitely good for a speedy fast car. Hi John, happy birthday. Probably coming down after my hospital checkup. So the marathon tomorrow, then the hospital checkup a few days after. No, it's just a checkup. So I think while I'm drawing that, I kind of need. Yeah, it's John's birthday today. John, did you have sushi? Did you finally have sushi? John did the Corn Kids 64 video recently on Game Explain. And is developing their own game too. You'll do more. You're gonna be busy working on your own game. Okay. Make this canvas a bit bigger. You think your chat got filtered? I don't. I'm not seeing anything. But yeah, I don't see any emojis. So it's kind of funny though. You think it would show me in the back end, like, hey, by the way, bunch of emojis are grayed out. No, it doesn't even show that. So I'll say the gold car is an important task, just because my nephew wanted it, many people, other people wanted it too. So, yeah, now that emoji got through at least. John, what movie do you end up seeing today? Star Wars Episode 1? I would never have guessed that. It's one thing with a timeline in Photoshop. You have to be careful drawing because sometimes it'll go to, just kind of the layers will be all messed up if I draw on layer two. So I guess I can try it, but sometimes they move around funny. I had an onion skinning plugin, but I uninstalled it just because it was making Photoshop crash. I find a lot of these streams I always start on something and then I can finish it later, but it is nice to think out the process and kind of work out any issues. I can put this car really tiny in the top left, And then create another window for myself so people can kind of see what I'm aiming for. That. There we go. I think, John, you'd be much quicker at drawing this than I would be, or at least rigging it in 3D. The Aston Martin car, that might be good for a speedy car. No. It sometimes animates pressing the space bar in a different way. Let's see, it's gotta be, I think it's gotta be up higher. I'm gonna have to draw like a box because the front nose is kind of skinny. I think it's kind of similar to a car Peter Griffin was driving one time. So this is the thing with games where a lot of times it's easier just to, especially in prototyping, to probably use art assets just to make sure it works first. So that's why I kind of tested out gold cars first before drawing it, based off previous experiences. That's gonna have to be more tilted back. I might have to lower the detail a bit on the car too, but I have to choose what to include, what not to include. Probably the window can be smaller. Yeah. Might as well give myself lots of room. I think today I'll probably go till May 9:30 this time, which is about another 38 minutes away, just to make sure I can wind down to wake up at 5:30 tomorrow. I'll probably not be able to fall asleep for hours, but I'll try. So the tires in Carpoon don't actually animate. It's more noticeable on the SUV because I drew kind of little like nubby tires on them, but probably don't have to animate them on this one. Put the googly eyes on another layer, just like to guess. Oh, this is going to be a longer car. I need more space. Now this of course I'll have to do the draft version first before doing fancy ink outlines. It's really important with so many frames. So I was lucky to meet Brian Provinciano, who did Retro City Rampage and Shakedown Hawaii. Not saying how I modeled the amount of frames in Carpoon about those games, but then he let me know that, oh, thank you, Hayden. I'm glad we became friends too. I'm glad I got to meet you just kind of by chance in the big picture of things. Unless you're talking to John about being friends with him, that's fine too. But no, you can have an air horn noise in that case. No, when I was talking to so Retro City Rampage is a lot like a Grand Theft Auto like, but in 8-bit. But then he told me after, it's like, well, it's 9 frames in that game. It's interpolates to be like 48 frames in Shakedown Hawaii. I was like, oh geez, I'm not drawing 48 frames for a car. This was a neat. I always wanted to do it in 3D, and Yerk. Oh, is this gonna run? Yeah, he showed me this neat tool. Where is it? Pico 3D, which is made, and you can kind of model simple 3D shapes off it. But it's almost like I have to get used to it still, but you can make little cars out of it. Yeah, so this is one thing that if I had a car with a different shape, I could model it in this, in theory, and maybe test it out quicker because it could deal with all the different frames. Whoop, 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 whoop. But I have to get better at that. It's always lots of different tools to use. So So one thing that's funny in Carpoon, I have the headlights, but I also have the eyes. I say I guess it would have made more sense just to have one, like only the eyes where the headlights are, but it's easier if they're on top. Okay, this wheel has to go a little bit further ahead. Hayden, is Jonathan Blow still streaming as well? I would imagine he goes on for a long time. That reverse shadow doesn't make sense. Oh, you actually just left it open, but yeah, I think so. Yeah, it sounds like there's so many new ideas, like more than the Witness had in their Sokoban game. It'll be really interesting to see what it's like. Oh, you love the look the editor uses for that game, and the graphics are really cool. Oh. Is it kind of like top-down isometric art style? Like all of the prototypes I've seen are just like sort of a Link's Awakening type top-down look. This is going to be a challenge here. I think this part is too tall. Not isometric, but top-down. Okay. An invisible car, is this like a predator car? Like it would be hunting the player, or is it just you find it by chance and then it becomes visible or like has an outline and it's worth a ton of points if you find it? Like you could see its exhaust maybe. Or if it leaks oil, there'd be like oil. Because there are. I do have it where a car can leak oil in Carpoon. Although I think currently that doesn't happen. You feel like you're being here is actively delaying Carpoon from shipping. Well, no, you can say that, but then also it motivates me to get it done. So I feel like there's some tug and pull there. Like he asked me when's it coming out, and I was like, I don't know, maybe maybe it's my fault. It's not. Yeah, like no, it's definitely nobody's fault but my own that Carpoon is not done yet. One thing I'll have to do soon is like more regular playtesting. Because sometimes in playtesting, admittedly, I find things that Like things show up that are, people don't like that I thought weren't a problem but are. Now, I think today's been great for getting trying a drawing stream and getting a good decision on what to do for the gold car. Gold car has been something that I think I put off for like 2 years. When I guess I didn't realize that, I could prototype it, and I just have to put in the time to draw a different car. Oh man, I'm showing the wrong screen again. I've been drawing this whole time, but here we go. That's one downside of 3 monitors. Although it's like the third monitor is like 2 monitors because I have it flipped vertically, so that's why I didn't notice. Yeah, so it doesn't have the engine on top. It might not need the engine, but it certainly does look cool. So I'll have to try and stream and program and draw and keep me entertained. Well, I don't envy you. So, yeah, no. So one fun game I had besides the potential Kirby Golf sequel with John is like I'd love to tackle Bird and Bean, or like do a multiplayer Bird and Bean, and it could be even just Carpoon trucks, but it's going back and forth in 2D and like their harpoons aiming up. I don't know what they would be shooting at, because like what is it? Helicopters in the sky, cars coming down. That's one thing I love. I know Cody Nokolo, he made a Bird and Bean, or they made a Bird and Bean like game. One guy on Playdate made one that was directly Bird and Bean but had to change it. It's not too common. You love the SNES Kirby Golf like game? Like I didn't find out about it till Super Nintendo Classic, and then it's on Switch Online, so it made it great because multiplayer is the best part of it. You could get into a Carpoon RPG. I would have to think about that. Like I'm not as knowledgeable about RPGs, and there'd be story elements. It'd be a different challenge, and definitely a strategy RPG. That's one I could do. Strategy RPG. That would be something more I could tackle, like more like Advance Wars, maybe, like if it was on a map for tactics and stuff. That would be interesting. The person I did tutorials on for Game Maker, Tom Francis, who I got to meet one time for Carpoon, and he's making Tactical Breach Wizards, which is like small scale tactics. But it's taken him, I think, 6 years so far, and it's probably going to come out this year. You like the characters and they look so funny. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I always love drawing silly cartoony characters. Probably drawing realistic ones, that would be tough for me. So we'll see. There's that. I've been seeing more James Turner art recently for Plucky Squire and stuff like that. It's always inspirational. You hope it doesn't take you a decade to make a game, but knowing you, that's why you can look. You'll take 2. Yeah, you can look at, I don't know, like, because of Famicom, I feel, but you want to make a 3D game. You just have to probably start with a game that isn't your dream game, and just like a smaller scale game. Like even if it's 3D but inspired by Famicom, like hypothetically, like let's say it's Root Beer Tapper but in 3D. Oh, like fake 3D. You do fake 3D and Root Beer Tapper, like something like that, like a single screen game at first. And imagine even if it was like Zelda 1 but dungeons single screen, like moving to others. thinking of breaking the components out into a small game for each mechanic. No, that's a great idea. Anything to break it down and make it more manageable. And just so you have your videos right now, you have to get that going. Then you have to figure out when you have time to make a game. So ideally, like so you can actually finish it and learn. Yeah, yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah, dream game could make it first. Yeah, yeah, like Aggro Crab. That's their second game as a company now for Another Crab's Treasure, and that's their dream game. But they also made at least one game before that at Treadnoughts. So many people you see, it's like, oh, it's like Edmund McMillan. Like he made many games before Super Meat Boy. I technically probably should have kept Carpoon really small and made more, but that's I'll be trying to make more like little prototypes after this one's out. For the longest time, fortunately, I didn't really have ideas outside of Carpoon. I kind of shut down that part of my brain to think of ideas. So I'd focus on it and not jump from project to project. Um, I do have a few other ideas now, though. But would they work or not? I don't know. Let's see. So I'm drawing that curve down and up, but probably it's more like whoop. My friend is gonna watch this later and he's gonna be like, Tom spent multiple hours to draw a single car. It's like, I'm sorry. It's hard planning out this first part. Some mirrors. I could probably. I don't think there's actually mirrors in any of the other trucks. I can probably not have them. Is that true? Okay, the player truck does have them. That's one more thing to draw, though. 9 times. 3 up front. 3 lines up front will be fine. It almost doesn't need the engine block. And it's also, it's technically 2 things. has something there, but I don't need that. Now here's the fun part is when you flip it, it looks terrible normally. Oh, not too bad. I think things like, so let me see here how the wheels go. They're mostly upright. Maybe like, well, it's cool to have it leaning forward. They're baked in. So if it was stopped, it would not be doing that. Probably the tires can be way thicker too. This isn't quite right yet. Like, this is where it's like need a box around it. This, if it looks a bit closer to it, that's better. This thing's, well, I exaggerated it. It should be smaller. Lean this back a bit. So that is a weird front window compared to what I'm used to. I think this would be bigger. So oh, maybe the final 15 minutes of doodling. Me rubbing my brow thinking about the time it'll take to make this final car, but it does help give me the motivation to finish that monster truck. Matthew Kierkegaard, the composer, will be quite happy. This Matthew made music for that boss. They kind of flare out of the back. In the front, me, that's... I think this, to be more menacing, this window can be even shorter. So the muscle cars kind of get into like a Mad Max type style. I do think that would be super fun. I think that's what I would do if I had like a battle royale Carpoon. It'd be like two teams going at each other. It's kind of getting ahead of myself though. One thing I also thought would be fun to do is I had an old puzzle game that was like the most complete game I had with block pushing, to see if I can restore that from Flash and put up somewhere. I think it had a bug too. Maybe I could figure it out. So that front's a little small, I think. Yeah. That engine's also a little small. Let's see, I draw the eyes. It's very hard to draw two eyes the same size or right in two different angles. That's why the flip is most important. Hopefully though I won't have to redraw eyes for this car. I can use the eyes from just the general player. Here I'm missing, I think this part, not quite right. The door helps make it look faster. There we go. Maybe pushing this back a tiny bit will help. It's of course not pure yellow. It's kind of more orangey, but not bronze. Oh, no, I moved it. Yeah, I think that's pretty promising. Oh no, did I flatten the eyes onto the car? I think I did. Those are a separate layer in the actual game. As is the fill, because I should learn more about different I guess shaders to kind of change the color palette. Oh, thank you, Hayden. Yeah, I think this will be a fun car to chase down. I think this grill just might have to be a little bit wider. I'm gonna just cheat and use a free transform tool. Yep. This wheel might be a little far away from it, so I'll just move it up a bit. That was probably that issue there. And yeah. That could be a problem. It's kind of a different angle. Let's move the tire down a tiny bit. And this tire up. This one should be bigger too. There we go. Might not need the engine block. Thinking about it. This is fascinating to watch. Having zero drawing ability of my own, this is like watching magic. Well, like the key thing you can learn, like if you do there's a bunch of YouTube tutorials and this is like drawing shapes, like this is like just me. If you think about a box, and then maybe I split the box, and then you gotta match the box, and then like everything is made of spheres, cubes, or like a cylinder really, and then like I would add like a little cylinder here, cylinder here. I love drawing over my drawings, and then it's like chiseling away at something for me. It's a bit easier than doing something in one go entirely. And this is the part that's hard. It's like a triangle in the front, and then another triangle, and that's a weird shape for the fender. Like I wonder, it's probably the same width going on. I should have had maybe more source material. And then another eye, and then I'll just delete it. And nice rich. I wonder, sort of like, beast car. I don't know. No, he's more like a. I think I had the eyes right in the other one. There we go. Yeah, it was all about breaking it down to shapes and then iterating, flipping to see. Like on paper, you can kind of flip it if it's thin enough, but here you can just whoop. That one turned out pretty good. The eyes, this eye, we have to be like a bit. It's almost like he would have a thin mustache, but I don't know. Drawing those eyebrows reminds me of the kind of cars with the cow horns on them. That would be pretty funny. Now, what I definitely need to draw way more, because I would be drawing sale banners and stuff. And then with Carpoon, I had learned a lot of programming really. So at first there was a bunch of art, and then later not as much. I think drawing Volcarnage Island, that was the most fun one. Like having sort of natural trees and stuff. Probably I should keep that in mind. I should probably have for the future land like organic shapes or like futuristic stuff going out of mountains if I did it again to keep it fun. This is what happens when you're not drawing on layer one. It kind of this horrifying version goes to other layers. So probably make this layer one now. I just create a new layer to go off of for another frame. Now this front grille, it can't be silver. It would have to be gold. I want to take a look at that real quick. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fine. The tires could be thinner, and they could have gold hubcaps that way. Yeah, but that's what I think. I should probably wind down now just to make sure I can hopefully fall asleep at a decent time. I might go longer next week when I don't have to wake up 5:30 the next day. But thank you so much, Hayden and Retro Comparisons, for dropping by. And anyone else watching, I really appreciate it and the support. Um, yeah, and I think hopefully I'll get a draft version of this car done soon to try prototyping in and finish more of these waves. Hopefully have another Carpoon playtest soon of these waves to make sure that I am on the right track. Yeah. I still do like that Aston Martin car. This one, thinking about a bigger car in Carpoon, it'll just be easier to harpoon, I think. Well, thank you very much. And yes, I hopefully stop drinking coffee at a time where it won't be like I did a couple days ago where I just kind of lay down and was awake for 2 more hours. But now, thank you very much. I hope everyone has a great Sunday. A lot of good ideas set for Carpoon to work on and for me to have a clear goal during the week until the next stream. Okay, bye everyone.